Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's 7 o'clock, so I hope you had a good dinner. And foremost, I hope your hacking is really, really going great. And of course, hacking is one thing, but then presenting it to the jury. How can you do this best? So I'm really honored that today with us is David Beckett. He's a really well-known pitch coach. He also is a TEDx speech coach and the creator of the Pitch Canvas. And he's the author of Pitch to Win. And I even saw on his LinkedIn that he's a freelancer of the year 2019. I'm not sure what that means, but he's really experienced with pitches. So David, here you are. Give them a big push.
I certainly will do. Thanks, Linda. Thanks a lot. And welcome, everybody. Great that you're involved in this amazing movement. And I'm delighted to have been asked to do this pitch workshop. So I'd love to give you a lot of tools during this workshop. And you'll get a lot of tools at the end of it as well to help you prepare your great pitch. So let's go to it. I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. Yep. Okay, Linda, do you see it all right? Everything working fine? Yes. Okay. So as Linda mentioned, I'm a pitch coach and I love to help people get their ideas out into the world. And it's never been more critical than right now with this hackathon. And I've been coaching startups over the last 6.5 years. I've coached over 950 startups who have raised a load of money. And my job is to help them shine when it really matters under time pressure in front of an audience. And when people have to pitch in 1 minute, 3 minutes, as you have to do, or 5 minutes, that time pressure can really make our brains fry. So I give them practical tools to help them deal with that, get a great story, be organized, professional, and make that connection with the audience that they're pitching to. And I've done this in 29 countries, trained over 15,000 people, and I even won a pitch competition last year. So, and one of the people who was in the jury there is in the jury this time around. So hopefully that's a good omen for you guys. Finally, I believe that great ideas need a voice. And as I mentioned, there's never been a more urgent time for great ideas to be properly understood and clearly heard. So my job is to help you, if you've got that fantastic idea that could make even a tiny bit of difference to this challenge, this massive challenge that we're facing, this crisis, then that would make me extremely happy. Great ideas need a voice, and that's what we're here for. So if you have questions during this session, then please do send them to me in Slack as a direct message. I will try to answer them later on. It depends how many questions there are, but I'll answer as many as I can. And if there's a lot that are the same, I'll do a short video and share them. The same goes for the slides. If you want the slides, you can DM me in Slack. Okay, so how to make a great hack the crisis pitch. That's what we're here for. And the first thing is to bear in mind, this is a 3-minute pitch. Prepare you for your 3-minute pitch. And it's a 3-minute video pitch. I will come to the aspect of doing it as a video in just a moment. But the first thing I want you to think about is how many words can you say in 1 minute and remain understandable? And if you've been on my workshops, you might remember this, but just give it a moment's thought. How many words could you say in 1 minute and remain understandable? You see, everybody has a different idea of what time means. So for one person, 3 minutes goes like this. For another person, they feel like it lasts forever. And we organize our content accordingly. But there is a finite number of words you can say within 3 minutes and still be understood. And it turns out that the research is that you can say around 150 words per minute maximum and still be understood. So you should target around 130 to 140 words per minute. Now, if you're going to make a script, which you might consider doing, then target a script of about 130 to 140 words per minute. Now, this is really important because these pitches have to be 3 minutes or less. It's not 3 minutes 10, 3 minutes 50. You're going to get 3 minutes. And they will discount any time that's over the 3 minutes. That's to be fair to everybody. So make sure that you don't overplan how much you're going to say, because otherwise the last part of your pitch won't be counted. So you've got around 130 to 140 words per minute. That's around 400 words. It's about 27 sentences in total. So that's the first thing. Very practical, but you want to make that pitch right on time. The next thing is you're presenting that pitch in a video. And there's a couple of options for you. So the tools available are video, the slides, and you. Now, what is the choice? Do you want to, for example, just talk to the camera? But I've spoken to a number of people who have been judges in hackathons. A couple of people have mentioned this to me today, that just speaking in the camera might not be the best way to do it. What could be a better combination is to have slides or an animation or a video. So for example, a short video of your app or what you've created in action, and have you in the corner presenting it. Now, that combination will be more powerful. What you can also have is full screen with the animation or the video, and you voice over on when you're showing the app or what you've created in action. So there's some limitations with doing this. We're all under limitations in this crisis. So when we're presenting online, you don't have the element of body language. You don't have the ability to connect with the audience. So doing it this way with a combination mainly of visuals and a small amount of you, there's a massive impact. You have most effect with your voice. So you need to put energy and emphasis into your voice. Now, the goal is to make clear with your voice, what do you want them to think and feel? And every sentence has some words in it that turn the way that people think and feel about what you're talking about. So you really need to get connected to the story that you want to tell. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by this, because the way you say something can make a big difference to the way that people understand it. Now, this is about how you're going to present. We're going to come to what you're going to present very shortly, but let's just focus for a minute or two on this. So let me tell you this sentence. This is a sentence that I know. Anthony said that his boss did not commit a fraudulent act. Now, I shared that information with you. These are words that you've heard, and I haven't given you any guidance on how I feel, how I think about those words. I haven't guided you on what you should think, what you should feel about these words. However, I could do that, because I could also say something like, Anthony said that his boss did not commit a fraudulent act. Well, Anthony said his boss didn't do it. Probably he did, right? So you change the meaning by putting emphasis on it. You could also say, Anthony said that his boss did not commit a fraudulent act. It was somebody else's boss. That's the meaning behind putting the emphasis on the word is. Then you could also say, Anthony said that his boss did not commit a fraudulent act. He simply didn't do it. Or alternatively, you could say, well, Anthony said that his boss did not commit a fraudulent act, but he was probably on the edge, right? So the way that you say something matters. Now, you can't spend the time analyzing every single sentence that you're going to say in those 3 minutes, but there will be some key elements in this story which you want to focus on. So make sure you put your energy, your focus, and your emphasis on the words that matter. So think carefully about which words matter in this story. What do I really mean in this story, in this sentence? If this is a very important point, then find the word that truly matters and put your energy and focus on that word. So this is about how you can use your voice to emphasize the things that matter and to put energy and direct people on what to think and feel. Then, when you've got your story straight, don't leave it until you're filming. Say it out loud in advance. Say things out loud. Test out, do they sound like spoken language rather than written language? You know, words like execution are technical words, but get it done, that's a word that's for pitching. So say it out loud. Think about, would I say these words to a friend over coffee? So make sure that you verbalize the pitch in advance before you film it. Okay, so now let's think about targeting our pitch to the audience. Now, who's your audience and what do they care about? Now, the good thing is that they've given you a very clear answer to these two questions. The first one is the jury. So check on the website, you can see who's on the jury. Now, these people are all well-informed people and they all understand technology. So they will understand technological issues. You do need to make sure that you make clear what the problem is you're creating first. And don't worry too much about every detail about the product. They will understand as long as you can demonstrate that you know what the problem is. But there's a number of things that they're looking for. And I would absolutely urge you to stick to these 6 things, because these 6 things are in the judging criteria. Have a look at this website, and I'm going to walk you through these judging criteria a bit later. These are the 6 things that they will judge your pitches on. First, the problem and the impact. So do you understand the problem? Are you addressing a large part of this problem? And can you have a significant impact? Design and technical aspects. Does your product work? Is it looking good? Does it look easy to use? Is it really solving an actual problem? Then originality. Is this something that's kind of out there already, or are you coming up with something really new? Then implementation, distribution, feasibility. Can you get this rolled out? Will it scale in a crisis? Is it something that relies on something that's not possible during this crisis? Make sure that you focus on the feasibility. And then the business model, that's about the money. And finally, money usage. That's how you will use the grant money that comes from it. I'll take you through a bit more detail a little bit later on. But I urge you, take these 6 things seriously. Now, Linda mentioned I won a competition, Freelancer of the Year, last year. And for that competition, I had to make a 1-minute pitch. And they gave us 5 things that we had to put in that pitch. And one of the jury members mentioned that I was one of the very few people that actually hit all 5 things. So by hitting all these 6 things in your 3-minute pitch video, there's a good chance that you increase your chances of winning by about 50%. So make sure that you refer to these 6 things. All right, then how do you create your storyline? And my advice is to leave the software aside. Stop and don't open PowerPoint. Now, I would recommend to use PowerPoint or Keynote or Prezi or whatever it is that you like to use to make slides at the end of the process. But the first thing is to get clear on what the storyline is. And it's really difficult to do that in PowerPoint. Our brains don't work like PowerPoint. We are random thinkers. When we think about what am I going to say, we think about this and that and something else. We don't think slide 2, bullet point 1, slide 2, bullet point 2. Our brains just don't work that way. So it's not that you don't use PowerPoint or any of that slide software. It's that you get the story straight first and then work on the slides. And what's the tool you're going to use? I would recommend Post-it notes. Use Post-it notes to build your storyline. Now, you can physically do that if you personally are working on the pitch. You can also do it virtually. There's loads of ways to use virtual whiteboards and various other tools that will help you build your storyline using Post-it notes or a digital version. Let me explain how it works. What you do is brainstorm, get the ideas out of your head, and look at those judging criteria. So are we solving a problem? What's the impact? What's the business model behind this? Why are we the people to make this happen, by the way? And how will we use that money? And once you've got all those ideas, maybe you've got 20, 30 things written down, then take a step back and think, what's the big issues here? Maybe we can find those 6 chapters and we can put what are the key elements, the 3 to 5 ideas for each of those big issues, and then build a story and organize around chapter headings. Now, let me show you what this looks like. The first rough brainstorm would look like this. And this looks random, but if you look on the left-hand side here, you'll see pain, product, demo, unique, team, traction, and so on. These are typical pillars of typical startup pitches. And some of these pillars are useful for you in this event. But especially those pillars would be the 6 things that they've asked you to talk about. Now, of course, you've got loads of information here. It's way too much information for a 3-minute pitch. So look at, once you've got all the ideas down, start to organize your thoughts and think, okay, we've got 11 things written down about the problem, but we've got a 3-minute pitch. So let's choose 3. We've got 7 things written down about what's unique about this solution. So let's choose 1 or 2 for this 3-minute pitch, and so on, so that you go through and you select and build a storyline that looks a bit like this. Here you'll see the orange Post-it notes are the content, and the yellow the orange Post-it notes are the chapter headings, and the yellow Post-its are the content. Now, it doesn't have to be in 3s. It can be 4s, 5s. I happen to be a bit of a power of 3 addict. But what's important is to get your ideas out of your head. Take a look at them, organize them, and create a beginning, middle, and end to this story. And the big benefit of this, first, it will save you a lot of time. It takes much longer to build storylines in PowerPoint. It'll save you 20 to 30% of time. Secondly, you'll be able to see the whole story. from beginning, middle, and end. That's impossible in PowerPoint, especially when you're sharing it amongst your team virtually. So this way you can see the whole story. So this will save you a lot of time and will help you. So this process is, I really urge you to do this. I've trained thousands of people to do this. It's the most mentioned thing by people in my workshops. Okay, now, what topics should be in your winning pitch? Once again, judging criteria. Look at the judging criteria. Let me walk you through those topics right now. But firstly, is this a real problem worth solving? A real aspect of the coronavirus crisis worth solving? And is there immediate impact? Can we have an immediate, because immediate is so essential to so-called flatten the curve. And then what's the ongoing ripple effects of that impact? So immediate might be one of the key things to put in if you think you can have an immediate impact. And then what's the story ongoing? And make sure that people understand the pain from a human point of view. Is there real people that you will be able to solve this problem for? Is that health people? Is it organizations? Is it governments? What is it that you're helping? Who are you helping? And what problem are they facing right now? And there's your solution. Are you solving the right part of the problem? Make sure that the problem, the pain that you've described is related to the product and how you solve that pain. Sometimes people present a pain, but then they have a product that solves something completely different. So make sure there's a connection between those two. Next, is it solving the problem well? What's great about it? How will it solve it? What level will it solve it? And is it validated? Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, but hopefully you've had a chance to do this in some shape or form to validate this. Are there people who have already said, this looks like it could help us? People who are involved in activities involved in this crisis. Have some of those people given you feedback? Have they talked back to you to say, hey, this looks like something that could be worth pursuing? So any validation that you have of your product, this is gold dust, and don't miss out on that if you have it. Then originality. Is this already existing or completely new? And maybe there are some direct or indirect competitors. Is this significantly better than current direct or indirect competition? So there are various ways to solve certain problems, and some social media tools solve certain problems in a little way or in a piece of a way or sort of help. Maybe your way is much better than those indirect competitors. So don't be afraid to talk about, well, there are some solutions out there, but what we do different is this, this, and this. So talk about what's original and new about your solution. Next up is feasibility. Is there any evidence that this will be adopted by the market? Once again, that validation. Is there any proof that you can show this will be adopted? And have you already explored any kind of partnerships, any deals? And can this be rolled out or scaled, especially scaled during a crisis? So feasibility is a key element. Then the business model. Is there a sound business model to be created around solving this problem? And are there several or many ideas for different possible revenue models? And it's mentioned in the judging criteria that this is especially important for any team looking at subsidy-based business models. So I think nobody's looking so much at, are we building unicorns? Of course, what we're looking for is massive impact, but is there any way to generate a sound business model? Where is the money coming from to solve to fuel your solution? Then, why do you need to win? If you win, how will you spend the grant money? And how will that accelerate your impact? The accelerate part is the key. How can you use this money to get you to the next step? And there's two more things about the human aspect. Now, let's bear in mind, we have 27 sentences, 400 words. So everything that I've talked about, you might have 3 or 4 sentences per item, or 2 or 3 sentences in some cases. It might be you have 1 sentence about your team, but I would recommend to say why you think this team is the one to make this happen. And that can be something about your skills, your experience, or your character. Now, maybe as a combination, you say, we've got skills in this, this, and this, and that puts us perfectly suited to do this job. Or maybe you've got something else about your personality. What about the people? What binds you together? Have you got a common purpose amongst you? So something that's not so rational, something that's a bit more about how you would approach this, how you tackle this problem. Try to put 1 or 2 sentences about the people who will make this happen. And then perhaps the most important thing is why you? What's your personal motivation to offer this proposition? So there'll be a person presenting this pitch, and we want to know why you believe this is great. So put yourself on the line. Of course, you're presenting on behalf of a team, but don't be afraid to add 10 to 15 seconds of your personal motivation. And anyway, your overall enthusiasm counts. So don't be afraid to tell them why you think it's a cool idea, why it could really make a difference. So put your energy and your enthusiasm into this pitch. Now, there's a massive difference between somebody saying, we've come up with an amazing solution that will solve a significant part of this problem, compared to somebody who says, we'll come up with a brilliant solution, our team and I, and we think we're going to nail a key part of this serious trouble we're facing. Put your energy and enthusiasm into it. Okay, so this is about the content. So the steps that I recommend you take are brainstorm the content on Post-its using the judging criteria as the guideline. Quickly write down as many keywords and phrases, not full sentences. So once you've got the idea, you've formed your idea as a team, what are we going to work on? And when you're starting to develop the pitch, get the ideas out and share those ideas amongst the team. And don't think too much. Just write some stuff down against those 6 criteria that the jury has specified in the website. And then once you've done that, start to build a storyline targeting 3 minutes, hitting each judging criteria. And once you've done that, say it out loud. Have you got spoken language or written language? Is this stuff that you might say to a friend over coffee, or is this technical written language? When we write things down, we assume that people will read. But when you speak, we speak in a different way. It's a combination of rational and non-rational. So written language is more rational. Spoken is more on the natural and more emotional language. So make sure that you speak it out loud, and you're speaking in a language that is more communicational, is more conversational. Okay, so let's talk about how you structure the pitch. You're going to get all this content out, build a storyline. Then let's think about the beginning, middle, and end of this thing. So make the first word count, open powerfully. And I would recommend to firstly make clear what is it that you're working on, and make sure that you don't have this kind of, hey, I'm really happy to be here. Our team and I, we've been delighted to work on this project, and it's an amazing hackathon and blah, blah, blah. You can lose 15 seconds of your pitch video before you've even got to the content. Get them straight into the story. Don't waste any time. We know that you're delighted to be involved. Let's get them into it. So make the first word count. And what you can do is use numbers to get that message across. And before we get to that, just bear in mind the first 20 seconds buys attention. See, everybody has 2 questions in their mind when they listen to any kind of pitch or any presentation. Is this person professional? And do I want or need to know more? And if we can get people on these 2 things in the first 20 seconds, a massive increase in the chance that they will listen. So being professional means being organized, getting straight into the story, giving them something useful in the first 20 seconds. And do I want or need to know more? There's something you can tease people with. Is there a fact that you can give them, a surprising statistic, or raise a question to them? How can you get them interested from that first second? And one of the ways is to quantify the problem. So let's think of a conventional pitch. This is MobiPark, have a parking app. And what they don't do is say parking is quite difficult. Well, today it's even more difficult. Everybody's at home. But let's think about how they would do that in a normal pitch. They would simply start by saying, can you imagine on average, it takes people over 20 minutes to find a parking space in cities like Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Den Haag? Can you imagine that 30% of all exhaust fumes in major cities is caused by people looking for parking? And can you believe you're going to spend 1 year of your lives looking for a parking space? We're MobiPark, here to make it cheaper, easier, and fun to park your car. Now, there are a lot of statistics out there about this crisis, and some of them might be very familiar for people, but maybe you can find an angle to quantify the problem that you are addressing, a subset of this massive problem, and can you put a number on the value of addressing that? Because if you can put a number on it, it helps us understand. We don't believe general statements. It's pretty difficult to find parking in Amsterdam. We have a solution. We think, really? How difficult? It's not difficult for me. I don't have a car. I have a bike. So we don't buy general statements. We buy specific, concrete statements, and numbers can help make things more concrete, more specific. The next thing is simply be professional, get them straight into the story. Now, video isn't possible over this WebEx, so I will just repeat to you the opening 15 seconds of this pitch by Saddle, a guy called George Ancoma, one of the best pitchers I ever saw. And George would start his pitch by saying, anything, any place, anytime, why wait? My name is George, and my team and I are on a mission to make your lives hassle-free by giving you anything you want, any place, anytime. So what he does is answers that question first. Is this person professional? And absolutely, because he has a plan from the very first second. It's very clear that he organized himself to be ready to get started. So having a plan is the first thing. Then he gave you the theme of this pitch. It's make your lives hassle-free. So what's the theme of your pitch? What's the topic that you're going to talk about? And then he makes you a promise. Anything, any place, anytime. Why wait? So giving the promise gets people to think, hey, I'm interested. I want to know more. So think about how you can get people's attention from the very first 20 seconds. Being professional, giving them something that they want to know, something they need to know. So what I would recommend you do when you get to the point of having a brainstorm, and you can do this as individuals as well as a team. First up, I would suggest that you write down your opening 3 to 4 sentences. Now, maybe you've chosen a person to do the pitch, or maybe there's still an opening question. Who will do the pitch? Well, then everybody in the team, try writing down the first 3 to 4 sentences and then test them out to each other. Try them out. So test them out loud on other people. And when you do, you can get together on video chat. And when you do, then give feedback. So one person would pitch and the other person would give feedback. And I would suggest that you look for 3 pieces of feedback. The first one is which one thing stood out. So when they say out loud the opening 3 to 4 sentences, and which one thing stood out loud, stood out, give them feedback on what caught your attention. What are you most likely to remember? Then which one thing did you not understand? Was there a phrase, a sentence, a concept? And finally, one friendly piece of advice for making it better. That's because we're all trying to build here. So friendly advice looks like, well, when you said such and such, I didn't really get it. But if you said this, that would make it so much better. That's completely different to saying, this was complete nonsense. What you should say is such and such. That's the break them down approach to coaching. My method is more on the side of let's build people up. Let's help people understand what's going well, and then help them to improve in the areas that need to improve. And you can do the same thing with these 3 feedback pieces. So review the brainstorm, write down the opening 3 to 4 sentences, and then test them out loud within the team. And finally, you can come to a conclusion of, okay, maybe the best way to open the pitch is like this. All right, next up is about making your story focused and memorable. So this is all about the power of 3. And, you know, the power of 3 is pretty much everywhere. And some people have asked me, you know, you seem to be a bit focused on this power of 3 thing. Why isn't it the power of 4? Why not the power of 2, power of 7? And there is some science about why the brain likes to receive things in 3s. I won't bore you with the science, but what I can tell you is that the 3s are all around us. They're in the air. We execute on the power of 3 all the time. It's ready, steady, go. Lights, camera, action, beginning, middle, end. And there's countless examples of 3s. It's one of the oldest tools in public speaking. It goes back 25 centuries to Greek times and to Aristotle. So it's a power of 3 that's used by Obama and everybody in those last 25 centuries. So how do you use the power of 3? How do you apply it? It's nice to have a theory, but how do you put it into practice? Well, you could break your product down into 3 big qualities. You could say it's faster, it's lower cost, and it's so much easier to use. Well, these are generic examples, but you might choose the 3 big things that you want to tell about your product. Tell them this, this, and this, and then explain each one of those 3 things. But the things that they will remember is faster, lower cost, much easier to use. People don't remember details, they remember headlines. So give them these 3 big headlines and make sure that you focus down on the most important things. You could also break the whole pitch down into 3 chapters. We're going to tell you about a massive problem, a part of this crisis, which is a significant part of the problem. We've come up with a unique, original solution that is feasible and ready to go. And it's easy to implement because we've got a team to make it happen and we've validated that it's working. Let me take you through it. So that would be a great way to start the pitch. So think about how you can use this power of three. If you say to somebody, I've got 11 things I want to tell you about my product, what's going to happen in their brain? They're not going to be thinking, yes, 11 things. They're going to be thinking, oh no. And as soon as people notice that things go on and on, they start to lose the track. Focus down on these three big things. So what I recommend you do is look at the pitch or pieces of the pitch and think, if you could only tell them three things, what would you tell? So do that on the macro level of the pitch, and then think about some of those key elements, especially the problem you're solving, the product you've created, and so on. If you could only tell them three things, what would you tell? Choose those three big things you want them to remember and write one or two sentences down. This will get you closer to getting that pitch, getting the content written down. So don't try to tell everything. You're better to cut a little bit of content and speak a little bit slower and make sure that they understand the most important things. Focus down on those big three things, and that will help you get to the essence of your story. Okay, and then finally, finish like a true professional. So as you're going through your pitch, you want to wrap things up at the end. Have energy to the last full stop. Be a professional to the last full stop. And that means having a plan for the end rather than just it suddenly finishing. If your video just suddenly finishes, people will think, hang on, is it done? Did something go technically wrong? So make clear that you're coming to the end in the last 20 seconds. So tell them what you've seen is it's this, this, and this. So 3-point, one-sentence summary. Then tell them, if we win, we'll change. So one sentence of your impact. And finally, I believe in this idea because, and make a personal statement of what you believe, to tell them why you think this is a great idea. But these three things, what you've seen is, if we win, we'll change this, and I believe this is a great idea, could be one way to finish. It's not the only way, of course. Find your way. This isn't a bad way to get started, but just make a clear plan for those last 20 seconds that makes clear that this is coming to an end, and wrap it up with the most important points, because the last thing you say is the first thing they will remember. And at the end, just say thank you. Normally in a pitch, thank you means I've finished, you can clap now. And of course, in the video, you won't get applause because they're watching in a remote situation, but there's no harm in saying thank you so that they understand it's all wrapped up. But especially this is great advice for a pitch in front of an audience. Thought I would leave this in for you because it's really helpful. You just wrap it up with a clear thank you, because then people know it's done. All right, now we've got some pitch tools and resources for you. I've already posted in the tools, but I'll share this again with you. So I have my free app. It's called Pitch Professional. And there you will find various tools. You'll get a bunch of pitch tip videos. There are 5 pitch tip videos there. And I've also put in the pitch canvas. I have a tool called the pitch canvas. I haven't gone through that in this workshop because I don't think it's specifically relevant, but for future pitches, you might use it. There's videos to explain the pitch canvas. You'll find some pitch tip cards in there, some 5 steps to preparing your winning pitch, ways to mistakes to avoid, and so on. And you'll see some example pitches from clients of mine that have taken the tools and really made them work well for themselves. So that's one thing which you can get completely free. The next thing is the one-pager, Make a Winning Hackathon Pitch. It's in the tools channel on Slack. There's 7 points, which are just giving you some of the highlights of this workshop and some other stuff. And finally, there is a free pitch workshop. Again, this is not specifically for this hackathon, but it does cover a number of the concepts like building a pitch with Post-it notes, and this will help you for future pitches as well. It's completely free, and if you go to this link, you'll get it. I'm going to put that link in the tools section, and you'll get it for free. And as I mentioned, if you want the slides, then please DM me in Slack. If you have questions, feel free to direct message me in Slack. And you can see the link again for the free online workshop, about half an hour of content, 12 chapters that will walk you through the key elements of building a great pitch. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and, of course, through the Slack channel. And for now, I'd like to finish off by saying my name's David Beckett. I'm a pitch coach. I'm here to ensure your ideas have a voice. Good luck with this hackathon, and I'll love to answer your questions in Slack a little bit later on. Over to you, Linda.
Thank you so much. I definitely got inspired myself, and I hope all the people who watched also got inspired. And for the people who are not here, please, the people who are here, please say in Slack how valuable it was, and that the other people can still watch it a little bit later on. And now for you who want to go and get off and make this presentation, but still think, well, maybe I can use a little bit one-on-one help, you're lucky, because what we did, we asked all the mentors who said in their skill set that they have experience in, for example, pitching, storytelling, or helping with a pitch deck. We asked them personally, could our people who are joining, can they ask you can they maybe discuss with you how they are going to pitch? And most of them said yes. So please look at our Slack channel. The Slack channel is called Announcements, and please read the message, and there you'll see all the pitch code of all the mentors who actually are going to help you. So who did reach out to all the mentors, and please use them for a one-on-one meeting. So thank you so much for now. Thank you so much, David, again. And hopefully get on going hacking tonight. And I'll see you all in the morning. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.